All right, welcome back to the channel. Max Tornow here, and in this video we're going to be talking about how an average Joe can build their own freedom business online as an online coach or as an online service provider. I kind of wanted to make this video because a lot of people, when they book a consulting call with us or when they message me on Instagram, they say things like, but I'm just the average Joe. I'm not special. How can I build a freedom business? And I'm always like, nobody's special. I'm not special. I in fact jokingly, but probably to a certain extent truthfully say that I'm probably below average intelligence. I'm just really good at executing. I'm just really good at following instructions. And that's it. Like, I don't have this genius business mind or something like that. And neither do you need to have that. Okay, so let's talk about that. If you're amongst the people who wants to build an own freedom business for themselves so they can, be free to travel the world, be their own boss and stuff like that, then this video is for you. You'll be surprised how average people can actually be, how average most people are that build quite successful businesses. So let's get started.
Have you ever wondered whether there's more to life than a boring dead-end 9-to-5 job? Have you ever dreamed about breaking free, traveling the world, making good money, and just enjoying life? No more office dress code, no morning commute, no boss. This channel is for you. So here's to your freedom.
So the first thing that I want to talk about is that you don't have to be special, okay? I don't know if it's Hollywood or social media or the mainstream narrative or whatever, but everybody kind of tries to tell us that, oh, you have to be this grandiose business mind and this like really revolutionary person, you got to be the next Elon Musk, the next Mark Zuckerberg. And yeah, if you want to become a billionaire, probably then, okay? I have no experience with becoming billionaires. I don't know any billionaires, so I don't know, okay? Probably you have to be a little special to make a billion, all right? But to make a million, absolutely not. In fact, if you want to make a million, follow instructions and execute and shut up and don't have any whack ideas yourself. It's really just that, actually, just out of my own experience and the experience of working with all our clients. So you got to understand that nobody's cut from a different cloth, and it has very little to do with luck. Obviously, if you get lucky with certain things, then you should welcome that. But it has nothing to do with luck, or very little to do with luck. It's not about the people who you know. It's just like, do you have access to a proven path of bringing you from point A, where you are right now, to point B, to your ideal financial situation, your ideal freedom situation? And how well can you stick to that without giving up? Right? How well can you stick to that without having other whack ideas? How well can you stick to that and not switch around all the time? And I read it in this book that I got to do that, and I saw that YouTube video that I got to do this. Right? Just stick to one thing and execute properly. I think that's the best. That's the best way to do things. And which kind of goes along with some people say like, well, Max, what can you guarantee me? If I become your client, what can you guarantee me? I'm like, I'm not going to guarantee you anything, because if you give up, right? If you don't follow our advice anymore, I don't want to guarantee you anything, right? Because you still need to execute what we tell you to do, right? That's the point. Like, if you give up, there's not much I can do. I can't show up at your house and force you to sit in front of your computer, The teacher can only care as much as the student in that case. But anyways, I digress. What I'm trying to say is nobody's cut from a different cloth. You don't have to be special at all if you want to build your own freedom business. Now, the next big thing that most people talk about is, oh, but what about the competition? There's so many people out there already doing this. There's so many people already doing that. And I've made several extra videos on that. Feel free to watch these if you want to dive deeper. But I think the main consensus is there's so many people out there already doing it, so I can't do it. And I'm always saying, okay, so what if there's people out there doing it? That's a good sign, first of all. It means that there's already people making money from it, and there's already people paying those people. So the market is ready. All you have to do is, making that sound, step in and be there. And on top of that, you don't have to be number one. This is the really crucial point here that I'm trying to convey here in this video. You don't need to be number one at certain things, Like, you don't, okay? I used to work as a dating coach and a personal development coach. Who comes up when you think about personal development? Tony Robbins. Goddamn Tony Robbins. He's huge, I wasn't bigger than Tony Robbins, but I was big enough to allow myself to make a ton of money and be free and, have a good time doing that and help a lot of people and so on and so forth. So you don't have to become the best, the number one. Hell, you don't have to be the number 100. you can be in probably the top 5,000 people, top 10,000 people. You're still probably going to be able to earn enough money for yourself to be free and again have a good time and so on and so forth, right? By the way, before we're going to get to the next point, big shout out to our podcast. Okay, I'm shouting my own podcast out. That's great. We're going to put a link down in the description below into our podcast. Our sales trainer Nikita Gunkovic and myself, we're hosting that podcast, and we're going a lot deeper into many topics. So if you feel like, hey, these YouTube videos are great, Max, but I want to dive a little deeper on certain topics, a little bit more how-to, hands-on stuff, podcast is for you. Okay, we're going to put a link down in the description, and we've gotten very, very good responses to those. People say it's very entertaining on top of being informative, so highly recommend you that. And yeah, maybe see you on the podcast. Now, the next point that I want to bring to you here is you don't have to be, a 10 out of 10 in your expertise. That's another big thing. How many people say, but I'm just average at this and that. I'm not a pro at that. Again, like, let's say you want to teach people how to meditate. You want to teach people how to be happier in life. You want to teach people how to find their dream partner, and so on and so forth. You don't have to be this mega overlord, 10 out of 10, with 50 years of experience and certificates type of person. Not at all. And we literally say this to every single one of our clients. You have to be 2 to 3 steps ahead of the average person. That is good enough to get started, right? And most of our clients are not these overlords, super experts at what they do. They're better than the average person for sure. They can tell an average unknowing person for sure a lot of things to improve their situation, be it in fitness, in whatever other coaching it is that they're doing or service providing, or like marketing, teaching, and sales coaching, and so on and so forth. They don't need to be total pros at these things. They again just need to be 2 to 3 steps ahead of the average person. In fact, we have found out that it is actually much more of advantage if they're not 10 out of 10, because usually the 10 out of 10 uber pros, they can't even resonate with the average person's problem that are at 0, all right? Usually the person that is at 4 or 5 can resonate with the person that is at 0, and that person is much more logical in the steps that it needs to take to get to 4 or 5. That person is a lot more patient with these things, right? Like imagine you want to give me a good example. You want to learn how to defend yourself, right? You're a complete 0 out of 0. You have no clue about how to evade a punch or something like that. Now, you want to learn from Conor McGregor, right? And Conor McGregor is like, this is how you do this advanced stuff, and this is how, you do the epic jiu-jitsu grip and the shoulder punch, and you're like, okay, but how do I stand? And he's like, what? How do you stand? Well, you stand, Conor McGregor won't be able to resonate with you on that, right? But someone who has decent knowledge in that, who's been there where the 0 person is, just a while ago, a year or 2 ago, will probably be able to teach you much better. And I've seen that as well in my first business, the dating advice business, when I was pretty fresh. Most clients that we would get would be able to resonate with me much better. And most of my older instructor colleagues actually would tell me, Max, you're so much more patient with all these, newbie problems, and that's why people like you more, because, if you've seen it all and you've advanced so much, it's kind of hard to relate to these problems. So, in fact, I would almost go as far as to say you have a big advantage by not being a 10 out of 10 in your experience over the people who are 10 out of 10. So if you're 2 to 3 steps ahead of the average person, you're absolutely fine. So how can you then actually, what are the steps? How can you actually get started as an average Joe? Well, number one, I would say look at your skills, okay? You can write this down, maybe we'll show it on the screen here. Look at your skills. Maybe you either have a certain skill that you're again, better than the average person, be it you're good at a certain sport, you're good at a certain thing, like letting go or meditation. Like there's some skills that we all have. And if it is not a skill that you've acquired, it is usually a challenge that you faced in your life that you've overcome. And by all means, this is probably a challenge that you were forced to overcome, right? Maybe you've overcome divorce, or your parents getting divorced, or you've raised children well enough, right? Or maybe you've lost a lot of weight, maybe you've gained muscle mass, maybe you've overcome breakup, maybe you found your dream partner, and so on and so forth. There's so many different challenges that you've probably overcome in your own life, right? With that, you got to give yourself more props, because you think for you, well, I was forced to overcome that. How am I good enough to actually ask for money about that? But the truth is, someone who's in that situation now, in that situation that you've overcome months ago, years ago, they would be so happy to have someone like you to help them, right? To give them a couple of waypointers. In fact, if you position yourself right, they'd be very, very happy to pay you, all right? So look at your skill, look at the challenges that you've overcome in your life. That means then look at your target audience. That's step 2. Who are the people that I could help with that, right? What are they afraid of? What is their end goal? What pain are they experiencing? But most importantly, where do they hang out online, right? Because you want to basically get started with an online coaching, because that allows you that freedom to work time independently and location independently. So where do these people hang out online, right? Do they hang out in certain Facebook groups? Do they hang out in certain LinkedIn situations? Do they hang out in certain internet forums, and so on and so forth? Find out where they are. And by all means, you don't need a big Instagram account. You don't need to have a big YouTube channel or a brand or whatever. In order to get started, in order to literally make your first 4 to 5 figures a month consistently, you don't even need a website. You don't need no big brand. You don't need a funnel. All these things are nice to have later on, right? Once you want to scale to 30K, 50K and above. Most of our clients that are around 30 to 50K, they don't have a website either. Okay, they're literally getting started with something that we call manual lead gen. And in order to understand that, you have to understand, where is your target audience? Where is your target audience? What are they feeling? What are their problems? The better you know that, the easier it will be for you to sell them, right? And then obviously the next step is learn basic level sales and marketing, right? And I'm not saying you need to read 50 books about that. I'm not saying you need to become a born salesperson. What I'm trying to say is learn the very basics about how to get someone on a call. All right. If you're our client, what we do with our clients is we give them a nice DM script, right? So they can reach out to people, get them on a call, and then you have to know how to give them some value, right? The prospect, how to give the prospect on the call some value, and as a result of that, how to pitch them, right? Basically, give them an offer that they can't resist, right? And then you get your first client. And once you get your first client, the great thing is, you can give them a lot of great value, and you're already getting paid as you're getting more experienced as a coach. Now, if you feel like, I'm not sure if I have never had a client, I'm not sure if I can really help them, then okay, by all means, sell for a lower price if they're your first test clients. There's no problem, right? And once you have your first test clients, you're getting better at the skill of coaching. You're honing your craft. You're already getting paid. Your clients are probably already getting results, which is a win-win-win for everybody. Now, these first clients, they can either help you directly with your business, meaning they refer you to a friend, hey, this person has helped me greatly, you should do the coaching as well. Or they help you indirectly by giving you great testimonials, written testimonials, video testimonials, and so on and so forth, which will make it significantly easier for you to get more clients. And slowly but steadily, you're building yourself a client base, you're already making money, you smell some of that sweet freedom, and then you go in and then you scale. Right? And then later on, once you make your first 10K, that's always our milestone. First 0 milestone for our clients. We say make the first 10K, then have a proof of concept, then we can see that you are able to execute what we tell you to do. And from there we can say, okay, now we're going to scale you, we're going to build a small niche brand for you. And what I love about these small niche brands, on a side note, I digress in a second again. What I love about these small niche brands is that they're highly profitable. Usually, if you do it right, you can make more money with a 3,000 subscriber YouTube channel than most people out there with 500,000. I literally can tell you out of my own experience, so many people with huge channels and verified check marks reaching out to us, wanting to work with us. Many times they make so shockingly little money they can't even afford our services. Very, very crazy stuff. So again, from there on, we can scale and work on small niche brands and so on and so forth. And those are the steps, all right? I hope I could take a little bit of fear away from you if you're an average Joe, all right? And I hope I could give you a little bit of an insight over the rough steps that you need to take in order to build your own freedom business as an average Joe. When you say that sounds great, Max, can you help me? Can you tell me how much more exact I can do it in my specific situation? The answer is yes, all right? If you say that, then you can go to the link in the description, click that link, and book a free consulting call either with me directly or with an expert from my team. So the way it works is you click that link down in the description or the link that appears somewhere here right now. That link brings you to a page, right? Read what's on that page because there's important information for you to get started. And then at the bottom of the page, you fill out the application, takes you 2 minutes or so, and then you can book the exact date and time where you want us to call you. Now that call is entirely for free, no international costs whatsoever, but it is only for people who are taking it seriously. And on that call, we'll basically be looking at your situation. We'll be giving you the exact steps that you can take in your specific situation that you need to take in order to get started building your own freedom business as an online coach or as an online service provider. And also on that call, we'll basically be looking at your situation. We'll see if and how exactly we can help you. Maybe if you want to work together with us over long term to get started and to reach your goals. So that being said, link down in the description, and if the link still works, it means we still have a spot open, because more and more people want to jump on the opportunity of getting that free call. So if the link still works, it means we still have a spot open for you. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. Maybe talk to you very, very soon, and bye-bye.
I'm just letting you know that I just made my second sale in my business. My first client I sold for $1,200. The second one I sold for $1,500 because I saw the huge value I already gave my first client, who was so stoked. He told me that I was actually over delivering from his expectations. Really, this program is by far the best thing I ever did for myself. So thank you to all the coaches. Thank you for Max for everything you do and for all the value you deliver to all the guys here. Really, you changed our lives.